Okay, let's now go to the next slide. Okay, furthermore, management, by its very nature, is more task-oriented because the goal, get the job done by whatever means, okay? While leadership is more people-oriented, that is now where the distinction of focus, of primary focus now diverges, okay? Management is primarily focused on getting the job done as the highest value. In other words, what is effective is the highest value in management. Agree or not? Those are managers. The highest value in management is effective, get the job done. Okay? Leadership, on the other hand, is primarily focused on building morality in and positively motivating people as the highest value, which means what is ethical is more highly valued in leadership. Okay? This is what is called, there's a new leadership theory now that has been taking many companies across the world by storm, literally by storm, because it has helped boost productivity in many companies around the world. They introduced spirituality into the marketplace. Now it's called, if you search the internet, you'll find a term, marketplace spirituality. It's nothing to do with the Christian faith. Okay? It is a secular theory where we introduce spirituality in the marketplace that makes you value people around you, that keeps you doing what is right, morally right. So whatever it is that makes you do what is morally right and treat people around you with respect and dignity, that's the effect they want from spirituality. Because it makes relationships stronger and productivity better. Okay? So, some even use yoga, so long as it's spiritual. But as Christians, we bring in biblical spirituality into the workplace. Okay? So, that is called transformational leadership. James Burns, one of the prominent or authorities in transformational leadership, says that the measure of leadership success depends on how much morality and motivation you're able to put in your people so they do a greater job. There's more productivity. Because of moral standards, they're being taught what is morally right, they're encouraged to do what is morally right, and the managers practice it so they maintain integrity in their business, and they also motivate them. They don't impose, they motivate. They always have conferences where they share the vision of the company. The vision, everybody gets rah, rah, let's do it. Every rank in the file, yes, we're all for it. That is the new approach now. What is called transformational leadership. This is a secular theory. Okay? So, as Christians, what do we value more? Effective or ethical? Ethical, okay? Now, management is primarily focused on controlling resources and people. Leadership is primarily focused on motivating and empowering people as the first most important job of the leader. You understand? I see the distinction now. Okay? The American Heritage Dictionary actually distinguishes between these two words. To lead means to show the way by going in advance, to influence. That's an important word for leadership. Conduct, escort, direct. Well, they define manage as to exert control. The focus is control here. Here, influence. Over, make submissive towards authority, discipline, or persuasion. That's how they distinguish the two. Can we read this together? Here is from Warren Bennis, one of the most authoritative authors on leadership today in modern leadership science. It's from his book, Learning to Lead, a workbook on becoming a leader. He said, the manager administers, the leader innovates. The manager maintains, the leader develops. The manager accepts reality, the leader investigates it. The manager focuses on systems and structures, the leader focuses on people. The manager relies on control. The leader inspires trust. The manager has a short-range view. The leader has a long-range perspective. The manager asks how and when. The leader asks what and why. For example, I said, when you process your employees, why did it happen? Always class why. So people start thinking. You're building your leaders, but you're teaching them how to think and solve problems. Okay? The manager has his or her eye always on the bottom line, get the job done. Okay? The leader has his eye on the horizon. That means let's see what our other possibilities are available to make it happen. Okay? The manager imitates, of course. Most churches want to imitate discipleship methods from different. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work effectively. Okay? That's part of management. It's just imitate. The leader originates. That's what we're doing in BCA. We originate. The manager accepts the status quo. The leader challenges it. That's why a leader sometimes can stir up the boat in a company. Because he's more long-range sighted. He's more creative than the managers. Okay? The manager is the classic good soldier. Defend the status quo at other costs. Because that's the only thing that works. Okay? While the leader is his or her in person, you try to be as spontaneous, creative as you can. Failing, and this is what the conclusion of Warren Bennis after analyzing many failing companies in America, he said, failing company organizations are usually overmanaged and underled. Puro management, walang leadership. Kaya bumabagsak yung company. Okay? Here's another one by H. Gordon Selfridge. The boss drives people. The leader coaches them. You do this or else! That's the manager. The leader says, let's explore how we're going to do this. Okay? Let's explore how we're going to do this together. Okay? The boss depends on his authority. I'm your boss, you better obey. That's management. The leader on the goodwill of people. He will try to inspire, motivate, and encourage them. Okay? The boss inspires fear. How true. The leader inspires enthusiasm. The boss says, I. The leader says, we are going to do it. We will make this happen. That's a leader. Okay? The boss fixes the blame for the breakdown. You. The leader focuses on fixing it. Right? Okay? The boss says, go! Follow me! The leader says, let's go. So, you'll notice here, according to Selfridge, the management seems to be more autocratic here, right? While leadership seems to be more democratic. Because leadership builds people. It focuses on building people, not just getting the job done. Because when you build people, you'll have a better job done. That's leadership. Okay? Here's another, Russell Ewing, their own distinctions. And we say, the boss creates fear, a leader, confidence. I heard somebody said, average leaders make everybody around them feel inferior. Great leaders make everybody around them feel great. You see the difference? Average leaders make people around them feel they're inferior to him. A great leader makes everybody around him feel also great. That's a real leader. Everybody feels great around him. You understand that? That's why a leader inspires confidence, not fear, not inferiority. A boss fixes blame. A leader corrects mistakes, focuses on fixing rather than blaming. Blaming cannot help anything. Process it better. Process the employee. Why did it happen? How did it happen? What mistake was committed? Who's responsible? What should we do about it? How will you correct this? How can we avoid it next time? Processing is better than blaming. Okay? A boss knows it all. A leader asks questions. Wow. Believe it or not, you have much to learn even from your subordinates. As a leader, you don't monopolize knowledge. You are not an absolute. You understand that? A boss makes work drudgery because you create a climate of fear. When you create a climate of fear, people are less motivated, so it's becoming a burden for them. Because there's a climate of fear and intimidation. You understand that? A leader makes it interesting for them. Because it talks about the benefits, it talks about inspiring them why they're doing this. A boss is interested in a self-concept. I want to succeed, you better do the job. Because it's going to affect me. Focus on myself. I need to be successful. You better do it or else. A leader is interested in the group, how to make them better workers and people. You see now the difference between a manager and a leader? This development is risen because of the changes in leadership theory, okay? Brought about by the influence of spirituality and moral standards into the management science, okay? Jim Rohn said, he's one of my most admired business advisors in America. He's very well known. I encourage you, if you want to learn wisdom in the business realm, you want to learn wisdom as a leader, go to his website, jimrohn.org. You will see wisdom. Wisdom. He said, managers help people to see themselves as they are. How true. You're like this, you're like this. So the manager makes you know who you are. Right? Leaders help people to see themselves better than they are. You know you can be better than this. Surprise me. I know you can do a better job. I believe in you. Why is it that you don't believe in yourself? That's a leader. Okay? Leaders help people to see themselves better than they are. Here's the next one. Leadership, according to Lawrence Miller, brings out the creativity of the individual and inspires courage. Management without leadership produces just conformity. I mean, just do as I say. Just conformity. But when you're a leader, you inspire people, you draw out creativity that helps you solve your problems. Remember this, the people below you, your followers, your members, may have the wisdom that you need to solve the problems in the organization. Don't think you know it all. Consult, ask. Find out what wisdom can they impart. Okay? That's why it brings out the creative individual and inspires courage because you make them believe in themselves. Okay? Management, you know, brings down people, degrades sometimes their confidence in themselves. Okay? Peter Drucker said, another leadership expert, most of what we call management consists of making it difficult for people to get their jobs done. This guy has many experiences in the world of management. He's not talking out of ignorance, talking out of many years of experience as a consultant to companies in America. He's saying, most of what we call management consists of making it difficult for people to get their jobs done because they're downhearted. They feel down. They're terrified. They live in a climate of fear and intimidation. That's why they cannot bring out the best. Okay? Fear will only make people conform to our expectations, but no more. That's as far as fear can go. But when people are motivated, they will perform beyond your expectations. So which is better? Traditional management or leadership? Focuses on people. Okay? Charles Schwab, can you read this together? I have yet to find a man, however exalted his station, who did not do better work and put forth greater effort under a spirit of approval rather than under a spirit of criticism. In many companies today, criticism is like the climate. Jealousy, intrigue. Because there's criticism from the boss down to the subordinate kasi sila nakakaroon ng mga jealousy, comparison, etc., competition. Because not all are being affirmed. You got that? Okay? That's why he's saying, in my experience as a leader, I have seen people do better work and put greater effort when you create a spirit of approval rather than a climate of criticism. Because the traditional management focuses on getting the job done. They can be very critical of those who don't perform well and is not getting the job done. Usually a climate of criticism prevails in the organization. That's why it makes it more difficult for people. You understand that? Okay? I like this. Dwight Eisenhower, for American president, said, you do not lead by hitting people over the head. That's assault, not leadership. That's assault, not leadership. Okay? Leadership with a human touch, January 18, 1994. Supervisors who want the best out of people have to lead, not push. It's harder to do, yes. It takes more effort and time. It takes a lot more skill, but it is worth the effort because you'll make them perform beyond your expectation. Lead, don't push. Lead. David Harold Fink People that by their very main nature are more easily led than driven. When you drive people, sometimes you're making them do things they're not ready to do or they don't want to do. That's why you have to drive them. But when they're inspired, become enthusiastic, they become confident, they're easily led. Mas madali silang i-lead because they're motivated. True or false? Are you beginning to assess the climate in your company right now? You would wish your boss will attend this seminar like this? Let me compare. Summary. A manager has subordinates. A leader has followers. What's the difference? Subordinate means submit whether you like it or not. Follow means they want to follow you. It's voluntary. Okay? A manager is authoritarian. A leader is influential. He doesn't base it on my position, my authority. He tries to influence people. Okay? Manager is transactional, means get the job done. That's the most important thing. Whatever works is good. Okay? While the leader is transformational. He's not just interested in getting the job done. He wants to be sure people are changing for the better. And the more they change for the better, the more productivity will follow. That's the leader. Okay? A manager focuses on money for work. Okay? Work, work, work. Or you will lose your money. Work, work, work. And you'll get more money. Money, money, money. Talks. That's a manager. Because you're hired by the manager to do a certain job, right? So what's important is the money I'm paying you. While the leader, what does he focus on? He produces excitement in the people because they catch the vision of the company. They feel they are affirmed. They feel their boss believes in them. They feel the boss is concerned about them. They are excited to work. Okay? A manager is task-oriented. We have seen that. Leader is more people-oriented. A manager talks about, this is our objective. Okay, you better do it. Leader says, inspires them. Is what we can become. Do you want to be like this? Wow. Vision. Inspired. Okay, that's a leader. A manager focuses on order and organization. Follow right processes. Okay, structure, there's a policy, procedure. There's nothing wrong with sticking with good procedure, okay? But if your management is more focused on maintaining order, you don't understand why there is disorder. There's disorder because people are not motivated enough. That's why disorder is taking place. So if just focusing on order, there's no guarantee there will always be order because you're not helping the people. A leader focuses on motivating people. So the order is established better. Do you understand that? Manager maintains an inward look. What's happening here in my turf? A leader focuses on what's happening out there in the market. How are we going to meet the needs of the market? We need to change the strategies because the needs are changing. You have a ministry, youth ministry. You see that your young people have different interests in summer than they do during school time, right? So you adjust your strategies based on what will meet the interests of the youth. In summer, what they're looking for, design programs that will meet what they're interested in during summer. And when they're in school, what are the programs that will be relevant to them when they're in school? You adjust. You're always looking outward because you're a leader. You said not just maintain the organization. Oh, you're not doing your job, huh? Oh, you're supposed to be there. Why didn't you not account time? No, it's all management issues. But if you inspire people to look outward and see, what impact what we're doing is doing out there, it inspires them. Are you still here? A leader, a ministry tries to keep to what is already tested, okay? Don't take risks, because if you take risks, you may lose money. What's the problem? You become less competent. Because other companies may be moving forward, you're still the same because you're not innovating. You just want to maintain what works. What works is different from what will work better. Maybe you want to focus on what works good, but you fail to discover what works better. You understand that? A leader takes risks. In fact, can you say to the person beside you, life is a risk? Every time you wake up in the morning, and step out of your bedroom, you are at risk. They live, in risks. Why be afraid of risk? You're having it every day. When you cross the street, you can have the risk of getting run down, even if you're obeying the rules. So why afraid of risk? You're having it every day anyway. You're just not aware of it because of divine protection. You got that? Life is a risk, I tell you. In a fallen world, in a sinful world, life is always at risk. So don't be afraid to take risks. You might discover something that will work better than what exists. Yeah, remember the favorite quotation of Albert Einstein? Insanity means doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Different results. That's insanity according to Albert Einstein. You're doing something that doesn't work and think that doing again and again somehow will make it work. Change the method. Change the approach. That's a leader. A manager that maintains what is. To maintain order, let's stick to what we already have and what we know. Okay? A leader says, let's take some risks. We may find a better way. That's a leader. Okay? A manager just controls. A leader leads by his model, his example, and by his words, influences people. A leader blames. A manager blames. A leader corrects and sometimes takes the blame. A project failed. You're the leader. You say to your people, we failed, including me. Let's learn from our mistake. Let's find out why we failed. That's a leader. A boss says, you're the one who made all of this happen. You brought us to this failure. It's not gonna make the person any better. You're gonna make him bitter. Because he knows somehow down the road, you also failed in your part as a leader. Everything rises and falls on leadership. Everything that happens under you is the impact of your leadership. You understand that, okay? The manager imparts fear. Do this or else. The leader inspires confidence. You can do it. You need help, I'll help you, but you can do it. Surprise me. Because I know you can. Okay? A manager takes credit. Success. Yes, boss, I did it all. Without your team, you won't be able to do anything. A leader always gives credit to others more than himself. Paul Bear Bryant, one of America's famous football coaches, he said, when something wrong happens in the field, I will say to them, I did it, I failed. If something happens semi-good, we failed the study. When something happens really good, you did it. He said, that's how you win football games. That's how you win football games. Every time there's a win, the leader the coach says, you did it. If it doesn't, medyo semi, we did it wrong. When it's a failure, I failed as your leader. He said that's what enabled him to create a team of winners. That's a leader. A manager will never do that. He always blame. Okay? A leader always gives credit. Now you understand the distinction between the two? I would encourage you, focus on building your leadership qualities. Because you will produce greater productivity and people will love you. And they will do whatever you want in the end because they believe in you, because you value them. When you're with them, they also feel great. It inspires them. That's great leadership. Okay? Here's another one. Your organization, your church, your ministry can either have a predominantly management culture or predominantly leadership culture. How do you know? What is the culture of my organization, your ministry, your business, whatever it is, okay? Management culture focuses on control, while leadership focuses on positive, always trying to influence people all the time. Not, control. Oh, do this, do this, don't do this, Control. That's why even in leadership ministry teams, sometimes they don't perform well because it's always focused on taking control. You should do this, you didn't do it. Why did you not do it? Making people feel guilty. People later on will quit. Okay? But focus on persuasion, encouragement, through influence, inspire. Okay? Management culture, fear dominates. Does fear dominate in your organization? Then you're a predominantly management culture. While leadership culture, goodwill, everybody wants to do the best. They're inspired to do the best. You know you have a leadership culture. Okay? There, the focus is manipulating people to get the job done regardless of how they do it. But here, leadership culture tends to inspire and build people. Management culture tends to draw the negative in human nature because you're always telling what's wrong with them. Focusing on the negative can bring out the worst in people. Focusing on the positive can draw out the best in them. You understand that? Can we repeat it together? Focusing on the negative can bring out the worst in people. Focusing on the positive can draw out the best in them. You understand that, okay? In management culture, personal significance based controlling others. I feel significant because I can control all situations, okay? Leadership focuses personal significance instead on inspiring and building people. He's relational, more relational, wants to encourage people all the time. He builds his significance on that one. Management culture, personal ambition tends to dominate because I want to be the winner. Okay, you better get the job. Huh? So competition is very strong, while in a leadership culture where everybody is affirmed, concern for others and social responsibility dominates. There's concern for everybody, not just for the boss. You understand that? In management culture, it encourages competition and jealousy because some are affirmed, some are not. Some are more valued than others. So some are getting more rewards than the others. So competition takes place, right? Intrigue, jealousy. Well, in a leadership culture, because everybody is affirmed, it encourages cooperation in community. Because everybody feels valued. No need to be jealous. You understand that? Everybody gets affirmed. In a management culture, blaming and criticism dominates. In a leadership culture, affirmation and appreciation dominates. Amen. BCI, we want BCI to be a leadership culture where affirmation and appreciation dominates. Avoid criticism. Instead of criticize, encourage. Instead of judge, inspire. That's leadership culture. Okay? Management culture seeks to maintain the status quo. Leadership culture seeks to continually improve relationships and services to effectively meet the changing needs of people. That's leadership. Always ahead, always sensitive to needs. Okay, not just the status quo. Okay, are you convinced there is a distinction between leadership and management? Okay, now, what's the role of leadership then? You know, John Maxwell has given us the bottom line definition of leadership is influence. Everything rises and falls on leadership. Everything that happens in this church, if I'm the pastor, whatever wrong takes place in this church reveals my kind of leadership. And I was even in the church where I was before, I always say, when a problem is not being solved by an organization for a long time, the problem persists. It reveals the quality of leadership in that organization. When the same problem occurs again and again, nothing is changing, there's a problem of leadership. Because everything rises and falls on leadership. Even in the family. Remember, the reputation of parents are often revealed by the behavior of their children. Everything rises and falls on leadership. You understand that? The performance of your subordinates will depend on your quality of leadership. Everything rises and falls on leadership. The story of the book of Judges tells us, indeed, leadership can corrupt the many. And leadership, oftentimes, is very hard to solve problems without the right kind of leadership, because some forms of leadership just perpetrate the problems. Okay? The quality of leadership, according to Fiedler and Kemmers, improving leadership effectiveness, the quality of leadership, more than any other single factor, determines the success or failure of an organization. So when there's a big problem in your ministry that's not being solved, ask the leaders what's going on. Okay? David Gurdjieff said, a leader's role, can we read this together? A leader's role is to raise people's expectations for what they can become and to release their energy so that they will try to get there. As a leader, your primary focus is to make people believe they can be better, and then train them, build them so they become better. Make them believe in what they can become. Ako po nalulungkot kasi karamihan ng most of our movies in the Filipino movie industry are just telling us what is. Adultery and all the crimes in our... the movie industry is not doing any real service to the people because it's all about money, right? Violence and sex sells, so they do it. But it's just reinforcing the culture. I yet have to find scriptwriters and movie makers who will depict the Filipino based on what he can become. So that movie can inspire Filipinos to rise up to that level. You understand this? The problem in our Filipino culture is that what is being emphasized. We tend to be condemning and judgmental. Filipinos love to point out, fault find. Believe it, even Christians in Facebook are fault finders sometimes. We're not helping the nation. We need to make people believe we can be better than this. And one way you can make that people see that is showing a good example in Facebook. Instead of criticizing, find what you can affirm in the person that's being the object of all the bashing. Find what you can affirm. You understand that? We have to make the Filipino believe they can be better. We need to focus people on what they can become. That's the number one role of leadership. That's what leadership is all about. It's enabling people to become what they were meant to be. It's enabling people to focus on what they can become rather than who they are. Example, Jesus. John 1:42, the first time that Jesus saw Simon Peter, he knew this man will one day deny him 3 times. He knew that already. That's why he said, you are Simon, son of John. From now on, you will be called Kephas, the rock. The rock is the opposite of his personality. He's so far from being a rock. He's so unstable, balimbing. He says one thing and does another thing. He's always the first to answer, and yet he trembles when doing it. He is a picture of unstable personality. But what did Jesus do? He gave him a vision of what he can become. One day, you will be called the rock. Strong and stable. I know you, Simon. I know what you will do. But listen to this. I'm not looking at you on the basis of who you are. I'm looking at you on the basis of what you can become. I see that you have leadership potential. You always want to talk first. You always want to be the head. I see your potential. But you need to be strong. That's why I'm telling you, one day, you'll become that strong leader. Jesus always focuses on what you can become. People around you focuses on who you are. That's why it's so hard to be encouraged by people who always keeps treating you based on who you are. Amen? Listen to this. Non-leaders focus on problems they see in people. Leaders focus on potentials they see in people. Can we say that together? Non-leaders focus on problems they see in people. Leaders focus on potentials they see in people. That's what Jesus was. He gave James and John, these 2 brothers, who were ambitious. The title, Boanerges, Sons of Thunder, it got into their head. One day when Jesus told them to go ahead in Samaria to ask permission for him to pass by, the disciples went back, Lord, they will not allow us to pass by. And James and John said, do you want us to bid thunder and lightning to come from heaven and strike those Samaritans? Lord, you called us sons of thunder. That means we have power over lightning. You want us to send lightning to destroy them? They were so affirmed, too affirmed. It got into their head. But it didn't stop Jesus from affirming them. Judas, who was a thief, he was appointed to be the treasurer of the 12. Would you appoint a thief, a proven thief, who's going to one day to sell you for money? Can you appoint him as the treasurer? Well, Jesus did. He did. John chapter 12. Because he is a leader. A leader always makes people believe in what they can become. And he gives them the opportunity to get there. That's a leader. You understand that? Here, translating to parenting, failing parents fail because they're always focused on the problems they see in their children. Successful parents succeed because they're more focused on the potentials they see in their children. What happens if you're focused on the problems in your children? You're always negative. You're going to destroy the identity of your child. But if you focus on their potentials, you find yourself encouraging, inspiring, you help them become what they were meant to be. You understand that? So say that with me, non-leaders focus on problems they see in people. Leaders focus on potentials. Some of you, I'm sure, have been asking me, why, Pastor, do you still entertain that person after what he did to you or after failing, all your expectations? Why do you still care about those people who's offending you? Because it is my persuasion that everyone is a work in progress. I have no right to judge that person for who he is because I know what he can become. And I always focus on what that person can become. That's why I cannot reject anyone. I cannot ostracize anyone. It's just a matter of believing these two will pass. Whatever is doing or she's doing that's wrong, that too will pass. Offends me, that too will pass. He will grow because the Spirit of God is in him. He is a child of God. I always focus on what people can become. That's why I find myself inspiring and encouraging even people who are obnoxious and abrasive. I continue to encourage them. You understand that? That's what Jesus was. He never gave up on the 12 despite all their complaining and all their pride and all their, kalokohan kuminsan, their lack of faith. Jesus never stopped believing in them. Never gave up on them. Because he saw them as a work in progress, and he always saw them in terms of what they can become. That's leadership. That's leadership. That's why in this community, in this church, in BCI, I don't want anybody to feel rejected because of bad character or bad performance, even because he fell into adultery. I always tell men, don't you look down on men who literally fall into adultery, because you cannot tell me in front of me, looking at my eyes, that you never look at a woman with lust in your whole life. And Jesus said, if you look at a woman with lust, in God's eyes, you already committed adultery. How dare you look down on the brother when you're the same? Understand that? You can never give up on people. I had people who left the church because, so many reasons. They come back, we welcome them. Sometimes they will text, Pastor, will you still accept me after all that I did to you? Of course. One day you're going to be a great person. Come back. We will welcome you back. I don't take offense because I know people are always a work in progress. This too will pass. Believe me. Because God is not finished yet. Okay, don't finish the person by your judgmental attitude. You understand that? That's leadership. Always focus on what they can become. That's leadership. Okay? Bill Bradley said, leadership is unlocking people's potential to become better. It's always focus on potential. Managers focus on what is and what's happening. Process. Leaders focus on what can become. And they empower the people to get there. Aaron template, leaders help others to succeed because a leader is always empowering others to succeed. He's less concerned of himself. He's more concerned of others. That's leadership. Leadership is based on love. That's what makes it so different. Okay? Jesus said, a student is not above his teacher, but everyone who is fully trained will be like his teacher. In other words, what he's saying is what? Average leaders produce followers, great leaders produce leaders. The goal of discipleship is for the disciple to become like his master. If the master is a leader, so the disciple also becomes a leader. You understand? That's the goal of leadership. That is why Jack Elwood said the number one failure of leaders is their failure to reproduce other leaders. Leadership that does not self-reproduce is failed leadership. The greatest achievement of leaders is to produce better leaders than themselves. Leaders who are insecure are threatened by better subordinates. A leader rather encourages people to be better than them because they focus on building people, not building their name, but building people. That's Jesus. Understand that? That's why I encourage you to focus on building a leadership culture where the focus is empowering and inspiring people to believe that they can be better. It's always focusing on potentials you see in people rather than their problems. Because if you build on their potential, listen to this, if you build on the potentials of people, soon they will have the confidence to take care of their problems. Because you give them the confidence to do it. Because you focus on their potential. Do you understand that? Okay? So, in other words, average leaders produce followers, great leaders produce. According to Jesus, the goal of all leadership is not to produce followers. The goal of all leadership is to produce leaders. And if they're better than you, that becomes your trophy. That's your trophy. That's your treasure. Do you understand that? Ako, I want others to be better than me. Anyone who takes my place, please be better. Because we want the work of God to progress, not just maintain the status quo. Amen. Okay? Any questions at this point about the role of leadership? So you always inspire, focus on participative leadership, so you build them, you train them how to think and plan, make decisions, solve problems, do it participatorily, democratic style, make them believe they can solve the problem, and they will. They will. Because you're drawing out the best in them. That's leadership. Okay? Imagine when leadership is integrated into management, that's when the paradigm shift takes place. Greater productivity because people are motivated and inspired. That's the power of leadership in management. Your perspective is changing now? Okay? That's good. Because that's where every major change in history begins. Change of mindset. Okay? Now, let's go to management. As I said, leadership does involve certain management practices. Because if you want to get things done, you have to apply some principles of management. But the focus is motivating, building. Okay? Focus more on imparting moral standards, integrating spirituality into the people. So they become better people who will do a better job. Okay? So, what are principles of management? Okay? For ministry leaders. Okay. Principles of management, number 1, involves planning. Okay? We will go into the details of planning in a while. But you know what planning means, right? Okay? If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Okay? Okay? But after planning, once you have the goals, objectives, you have the strategies, you have the methods, the next step, you need to organize your group to get it done. So organization is the next step. How do you organize your people, delegation of responsibility, so that what has been planned will be effectively carried out? So organization is important. Organization also involves not only organizing people, but organizing resources that you will need to get the job done. Okay? Thirdly, of course, delegating or staffing. You have to build confidence in those to whom you delegate. Be sure they are the right people for the right job. Okay? And be sure they're properly trained and motivated. They understand their limits of their responsibility. They also know what is their scope of decision making. Okay? Everything should be clear to your staff. Exactly what they're expected to do and how they can do it best. Thirdly comes monitoring or controlling. So once the program or the plans begin to take place, you begin to monitor and check if something goes wrong along the way, correct it so that you still meet your objectives. Okay? Remember this, when you start implementing your plans, you can expect variables that will happen that you don't expect. When you start implementing your plans, don't expect your people to be angels. They're gonna make mistakes. And if you're a true leader and manager, if you don't expect those mistakes, you're going to be shocked. You have to be ready to do what is called damage control. That's part of monitoring. Ready to do damage control because you never predict, because you don't know everything about everyone in your group. You don't know what's going on in their lives. You don't know what motivates them. You don't know what are their values. I mean, you only know they want to work with you, that's all. So you don't know what they are capable of doing that can harm the plan, or they can make the plan fail. That's where monitoring comes in. You have to find out, follow up on each one. Are they doing the job well? What's the problem? Are you struggling here? Okay, what can we do in order to solve the problem? Be sure that everybody, every member of your staff is doing the job right and doing the right job, not doing the job of somebody else. Doing what's their job, okay? Monitor, check. Sometimes you have to correct, okay? Includes troubleshooting, okay? Something wrong happened. Let's sit down. Why did it happen? How did it happen? What can we do about this? So that's, you call that troubleshooting. Find out what's the cause of the problem, why it is not happening. Why is it that the speaker did not come? Somebody forgot to make a follow-up call. Oops. So there are many people, no speaker. Oh no. What happened? Troubleshooting, right? Why is it that somebody appointed to take a task in the program, did not come? Was he properly informed? Do you know what's going on? That's part of monitoring. Always check before the deadline takes place. Always check before the actual performance takes place. And when it's taking place, monitor, is it being done right? That's part of management. That's why it's about control. Control, okay? So, correcting, you may have to correct along the way, realign if they're losing their direction. Okay, yan ang focus natin, ito ang focus natin. That's the job of a manager, okay? The other thing, you may have to redirect. That means, okay, we never saw this. This is part of our planning that, oops, we didn't expect it's going to fail because of this. Okay, let's redirect. Let's do it this way na lang. So you begin to adjust your plans. That's part of monitoring or controlling. Do you understand that? Okay? And sometimes, it can be very hard reassigning the person to another responsibility. That's the most challenging one. Baka sumama loob. Okay? That's part of management control. Do you understand that? So how many of you already know this? Many of you know this already, right? But for some of you who are leading ministries, you may need to see that this is the process that must be implemented for you to get things done. Okay? Directing, that means as the manager or the leader of the ministry, you should be sure that you're always directing them to do it according to plan. Okay? Leading them. Motivating is part of it. Coordinating with other ministries so there is no conflict. Okay? So that you're able to use the strengths of others to help you succeed. So coordinate with others. And then evaluating is very important. That's important to management. Evaluate. Why did we succeed? Good. Why did we fail? Evaluate. Areas for need to improve. So management will always evaluate after the plan has been carried out. Okay? Because there is no execution of plans that will always be perfect. That's why you need to evaluate so next time you can do a better job. Evaluation is important, but also important is rewarding or compensating. Give credit to whom credit is due. That's part of management. Okay? So simple outline of management. Now we focus on the planning one, which is really also very challenging. Any questions at this point? So the different ministry heads, you can follow this outline when you plan for your organization. Okay? Be sure there is evaluation, there is reward or compensation at the end. Okay? Now, let's focus on the planning process. Planning. Number one, reviewing the mission, vision, and core values. Before you set out a plan, be sure you know what your organization stands for. Okay? What is the mission and the vision of your ministry, your organization, or your business? Okay? Vision and mission is important because it is agreed upon by the organization and therefore it must be followed. Okay? Then, second to the vision and mission are the core values. The core values define the character or the manner in which you carry out your plans. Core values can include integrity. It could include, you call that excellence. We believe in excellence. We give our best. So there are so many core values, but you has to be agreed upon between the leader and the led. So for example, young people, do you have core values in your youth group? Wala pa. So you need to create core values. What are the values you want to uphold in the youth ministry, for example? What kind of character traits do you want to see in the young people? Something you believe will help them become effective. So women, anong core values? Particularly to the particular group of women you're ministering to. Men, anong core values ng men's ministry? What do we uphold? Mas clear ang men because it's a carryover of men of integrity core values. Okay, tatlo lang yon: integrity, spirituality, and compassion. Those are the three core values. So look at your vision and mission, understand that, look at your core values, and then make that as the framework of your planning. Everything you plan must be in line with this. Okay? Secondly, assess the needs of your organization. And there are two kinds of needs. There are felt needs, there are real needs. Sometimes the leader is not in the position to assess the needs. Sometimes the people down there, maybe they want to correctly assess the needs. That's why sometimes a survey is important. Survey means you want to hear what the people say about what they really need. You understand that? Or it could be a survey, could be written, it can be simply verbal, face-to-face interaction. Asking them, what do you think are the things that we need to become more effective? Okay? So assess the needs, and then prospects also, what can we become? Based on who we are right now, what can we become? Ano ba mga potential natin? What are our assets? Okay? Based on present and forecasted conditions and potentials. Okay? For example, we're now under martial law. So there's a limit to our activities in the night. As much as possible, the government discouraging meetings, especially, corporate meetings of religious organizations in the night. So we adjust. So the youth was moved to afternoon instead of night. That's adjustment, right? And so, under martial law, we have to consider what are the needs of people. They need to go home early. So whatever you plan will be affected by your conditions. That's part of your assessment. Okay? So don't just plan blindly without considering the context of people. Okay? So you have these forecasted conditions and potentials, may include doing surveys. So what are the needs of your young adults group? What are the unique needs of young adults that different from young people? What are the unique needs of women that's distinct from men? What are the unique needs of women that is distinct from women? What are the unique needs of couples that are distinct from singles? So whenever you plan, focus on the specific needs of your organization. Don't try to generalize, because if you do that, you'll just be duplicating what others are doing. It's not necessarily the most relevant one for your ministry or group or business. What are the needs of your business right now where you need to improve? So assessment always takes place, okay, before you. And then based on that assessment, based on your mission, vision, core values, set up what will be our objectives. So some management schools of thought differentiate objectives from goals. Okay? Objectives are made to help carry out the vision and the mission. Those are objectives. Goals are intended, these are goals that are intended to help fulfill the objectives. So what goals do you set para ma-meet yung objective? You understand that? Goals must be, you call this, measurable. They must be measurable. Okay, maraming terms dyan, no? But they have to be measurable. You have to know if the goal has been met. How do you measure the goal has been met? So that the objective is carried out. For example, the objective is to preach, is to evangelize. That's the call of the church. That's part of the vision, to bring the message of Christ across to the nations. So evangelism is an objective. What goals do we set para ma-meet natin yung objective? Okay? Train the young people how to share the gospel. That's a goal that will help us carry out the mandate to share the gospel, right? Now, after the goals, you have programs. Programs are created to help meet the goals. So we'll have a training program on how teach the young people how to share the gospel. We create a program. The goal is equip them to share the gospel. Why? Because the objective, as a church, we must reach out to the world. We're called to reach out to the world and save the lost. Okay, that? You see the difference? So objective is the general one. Goal is more specific, intended to meet the objective. And then when you set your goals, what program should we create to meet the goals? Are you still here? This is a crash course on management. Okay? So, programs of action is a program involves strategies. How do we do it in the most effective way? Okay. We want to reach out to UM. We want to start a campus ministry. That's a goal. What's the objective? To reach out to the lost. Goal, establish a youth ministry, outreach ministry in UM. Okay? That's goal. What program do we do to get there? What's the strategy to be able to start a group? How do we start it? What's the strategy? Ask permission from the ministry coordinator. You would like to start a ministry, so that's part of the strategy. And the next, how do you bring people into your group? What strategy do we do? Understand that? Okay? And then, what methods do we use in order to ensure that the program becomes effective? How do we help these young people come to know Christ in our small groups? Okay, so what method should we use? For spiritual loss, the bridge method, or simply relational evangelism? Methods. What do you use? Okay? What policies or rules should we have to define the limits of our program? Okay? For example, in sharing the gospel, rule is don't force. Don't force. Okay? So you set up rules in order to ensure that nothing wrong happens in the process of achieving the program's goals. Okay? So you got that? Strategies, how to get things started. Procedures, how do we do it? Methods, what are the practical steps we will take in order to get to our goal? Okay? What rules should we set to define the limits of our procedures? Okay? Getting complicated or getting clearer? Thank God. Okay? Next will be determining resources needed and resource availability. This is part called organizing, okay? Do you have a budget? Every activity entails expense. Remember that. There is nothing that you plan as an organization, a ministry, or as a business that does not entail money. Everything has a price. So you have to plan carefully how much will this cost. So you set up a budget for everything that you foresee will be the projected expenses. What skills do you need to make it happen? Look at your team who are skilled in speaking. They'll be your advertisers. Who are those skilled in leading? They'll be the one to draw the people. Okay? Who are skilled in observing? They'll be your evaluators and analysts. So look at the skills of your people and find out how these skills can be used to achieve the goal. You understand that? Hindi lahat ng membro nyo pare-pareho skill. Iba-iba yan. Meron mga tao na magaling sa simula, mahinip tumapos. May mga tao naman, magaling magtapos, ipagsama nyo sila. May mga tao magaling sa organisasyon, pero mahina pagdating sa last minute change. Natataranta na sila. Kasi mga structured sila eh. Pero may mga member kayo na medyo, you call that open, free spirits. They love last minutes. In fact, they are the experts in the last minutes. Yan yung mga professional crammers. And they are successful at it. Yeah. Pag yung mga skills sa ordering, organizing, magaling. Pero pag may something wrong happens, natataranta na, tawagin na yung mga skills sa last minute changes. So tingnan nyo yung skills ng mga tao nyo. Okay? So, and then, assign the right job to the right skilled person. Sometimes plans fail because you're assigning a job to the wrong person. Gusto mo yung mag-advertise ay yung introvert. Anong job? Ikaw, taga-balita sa mga tao. Anong gagawin? Ha? Bakit ako? Tahimik man ako. Introvert. What can you expect from an introvert? You're really asking for failure. That's not his skill. You understand that? So analyze the skills of your people and be sure you give the right job to the right person based on the skill. You understand this? Okay? So skills, manpower. How much people do you need to get it done? The bigger the program, the more people is needed. You understand that? So you have to look at your manpower. Do you have enough people to make this? We want an evangelistic concert. Evangelistic concert in December. Wow, great goal. What is the objective? Reach out to the lost. Goal, evangelistic concert. Good program. Okay. So how are we going to do it? How many people do we need? How many microphones do we need? Do we have the resources? Okay? The important thing, do we have the right people to man the job? Manpower is important. How many people do we need? Number 4 is time. Do you have enough time to get this done? Or do we need more time? Baka ras-ras ito, pagdating hilaw. Sayang lang investment, hindi man naging successful kasi kulang ng time, preparation. So how much time is involved in ensuring the success of this program? Okay? How much time we will spend in planning? How much time in executing? Okay? How much time in promoting? Kailangan yan, may timeline. Is it getting more complicated? Or is it getting clearer? Mahirap yung pag unclear, more complicated. Pag unclear. Because you go into trial and error. And then you make a mess. Because hindi clear kung paano gagawin. You understand this? Okay? Time. Venue. Where are we going to do it? Is it the right place for the event? Is it the best place for the event? The venue is important. Okay? Because wrong venue may not help you fulfill your goals. Because people will be complaining. Mainit. Na-concert ka, di? Ang concert is high energy. Wala, ligo lahat sa pawis dahil hinamatay. But, wrong venue. Masyadong maliit o walang enough ventilation. Okay? Including na yung sound system. No? Venue. Okay? So, all of these are important. And of course, the last one is physical resources. What materials do we need? What kind of sound system do we need? If it's an evangelistic concert, how many mics do we need? Okay? So physical resources. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, done? So program yan. Next is implementation. Delegate. Who's going to do this? Okay? Number 2, give him authority. Let the others, okay, I'm appointing this man to do this, so whatever he says, please follow him. I authorize him. Be sure that the authorization is known to everybody. Okay? Equipping. Train them to do the job well. Provide training, equipping. And fourthly, be sure establish accountability. Remember, tell them, remember, at the end of the day, you need to be accountable for how you did it and what you did. Establish accountability. Okay? So they don't take it lightly. I mean, they won't take their job lightly because they will be accountable. You see, the failure of one affects everybody. The mistake of one affects the whole team. Okay? So establish accountability. Who reports to whom? When you say accountability, who reports to whom? Okay, ikaw, may question ka, you go to this guy, okay? If you have a problem, go to him, not to me. Kasi ako yung overseer ng program, I cannot do everything. So if you have a problem with this, go to this person. You are accountable to this person, and he will be accountable for you. Establish accountability in the organization for executing the program, okay? And it is there in the overall management process. There is the evaluating. It's not there because this is planning. This is all about planning. There is evaluation, bring back the general process of management. And there is compensation or rewarding. So the reward can be as simple as, let's give them a hand, thank God. That's enough. Or give them money or give them a treat in, whatever. So they are motivated. Okay? So do you think this is going to help you as an organizational leader? Remember, this is management process, which means it's intended to get the job done well. But remember, you're also a leader. Focus on building, mentoring, motivating, inspiring people so they do a better job because they feel you value them. Amen?